Good morning and welcome back into this new More Weather Forecast video. My name is Becca Moore and I'm back here in the weather studio, of course, covering this big winter storm. I've been talking about it over on X. It's expected to be very impactful from the Central Plains all the way through the mid-Atlantic, and behind it comes some of the coldest air of the season, the coldest air for many we have seen this winter so far. So we are going to dive in to the details. First, looking at the warnings or watches that we have in effect right now. These are actually winter storm watches, and let me tell you, there are a lot of them from Kansas City over through St. Louis, all the way through Indianapolis and into Ohio. I do expect some of these to be upgraded to winter storm warning, maybe even ice storm warnings down into Kentucky and southern Missouri, and also extend east into the mid-Atlantic towards Washington, D.C., into West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland, because, of course, this storm isn't going to only be for the Central Plains and Ohio Valley. It's also going to eventually extend, as we had in Sunday night, and into Monday into the mid-Atlantic. But yeah, a large areas are expected to be affected by this. And again, some of these I do expect to be upgraded into winter storm warnings. So be prepared for that as we see those warnings, watches, and advisories continue to extend east and get upgraded. Now, looking at the timing of this snow before we get into any of the accumulations, really starting to see that snow, ice, and rain break out Saturday evening across southern Nebraska, southern Iowa, into parts of Kansas and northwestern Missouri. By the time we go into Sunday morning, we're going to start seeing that wintry mix, maybe some heavy snow to start in St. Louis. And then Sunday midday, that continues to move east, really affecting the Ohio Valley now into Indianapolis. Sunday evening, getting into Ohio, around Columbus, Ohio, into eastern Kentucky. And then Sunday night is when we possibly could see that snow first moving into Washington. The timing for this can be a little tricky, so we'll have to watch that. But Sunday night, early Monday morning, in that time frame is likely when we're going to see that frozen precipitation start moving into Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, and into parts of Virginia as well. Now, looking at our snowfall totals, we got a large swath, a pretty heavy snow, again, from the Central Plains all the way through the mid-Atlantic. If we look at St. Louis, that's an area that's going to be right on the line with this snow. I have 3 to 6 inches for most of the metro, but as you head north into St. Charles County up towards Pike County, Missouri, that's where you get 6 to 8 inches. They're right on the line, and models last night into early this morning were trending a little bit south. So could I see 6 to 8 inches come into most of the St. Louis metro as you head into southern St. Louis County, northern Jefferson County? Could we see that? Yes, I do see that possibly happening, but for now, you're right on the line. You could see a mixed bag of frozen precip, sleet, ice, and snow in St. Louis, and of course, that's where I'm from, so that's where I'll be reporting the conditions from. So we'll see what happens, but right on the line, probably around 3 to 6, 4 to 7 inches in the St. Louis area. Now, Kansas City, a little bit farther north, so I do have that in the 6 to 8 inch range, and then that 8 to 12 inch range just a little bit north of Kansas City. So I do expect some pretty heavy snow totals in Kansas City. Make sure you are prepared for that. Can't rule out, though, some sleet and freezing rain mixing in as we head into Sunday morning and Sunday midday. And then as you head to the west of Kansas into parts of central, northern, and eastern Kansas, I continue to see those heavy snow totals going out in that direction. Now, transitioning to the Ohio Valley, Indianapolis is going to be an area where it's also kind of on the northern end, maybe even northern edge of this storm. So right now I have 6 to 8 inches for you. That could move a little south, that could move a little to your north, but still I do expect a pretty hefty amount of snow there in Indianapolis. Same with you in Columbus. Then as we head towards the mid-Atlantic, Washington, D.C., I do have it in that range of maybe 3 to 6, 6 to 8 inches as of now. Now, this is also has less confidence than, say, St. Louis or Kansas City, since this is going to be farther out Sunday night into Monday. So I do think this can wiggle just a little bit. It has some wiggle room. We could see that windshield or wind wiper effect there. We could see the happening as you head into southern Pennsylvania and into parts of central Virginia. You know, that's where it gets a little tricky, because southern Pennsylvania, that's going to be on the northern end of snow. So Philly suburbs, I have that 3 to 6. We could see 6 to 8. So we're just going to have to watch this corridor and how that changes, and I'll have more updates on that over on X. But Washington, D.C., it looks like this could be your first big snowfall of the season. Same with you in parts of West Virginia. And again, southern Pennsylvania, Maryland, as well, that Baltimore region. Now, snow is not going to be the only problem with this storm. We're also watching for a formidable ice threat. South of Kansas City, south of St. Louis, just as south of those two cities is where I'm actually getting pretty concerned about the ice threat. It looks like we could have moderate to heavy ice from eastern Kansas all the way through south central and southern Missouri into southern Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, into a large chunk of western, northern, and central, as well as eastern Kentucky. A large chunk of Kentucky is going to be dealing with that freezing rain, and this could be pretty dangerous for a lot of areas. Icy roads can be as bad or even worse than snowy ones and snowy conditions, so we really do need to watch that. This could be very treacherous travel along the I-44 corridor in Missouri, south of that I-70 corridor there in Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky. We're going to have to watch this closely, so if you live in any of these areas, start getting prepared now. This could be a pretty bad ice storm for you if you're in south central Missouri, southern Missouri, just the south of St. Louis and Kansas City, all the way through, again, along that Ohio River into Kentucky, and that does extend even into Virginia as we head in, again, Sunday night into Monday, so we'll have to watch that for West Virginia, northern North Carolina, and northeastern Tennessee as well. So again, ice is going to be another problem we're going to have to be dealing with, another big-time threat with this big winter storm. And then our last winter storm forecast for this forecast video is going to be the city forecast. Kansas City on Sunday morning, I do start you out with some wintry mix. As we go into Sunday midday, I do think you're going to be changing over to mostly snow, and then Sunday night cloudy as that snow exits region. Sunday morning in St. Louis, it does look like you're going to be having a wintry mix. Could start with some heavy snow, but then as we head into midday, I think temperatures will get a little bit warmer, especially above surface, so we could see that overrunning effect, and we could see some warmer air above the surface, and that will contribute to some wintry mix. Sunday midday, and then Sunday night, some back-end snow there in St. Louis. So it's still a tough forecast in St. Louis, going to be in that transition zone. Again, that's where I'm going to be reporting from. You could have maybe 3 to 6 inches, but if we do see more snow than that wintry mix, could see even up to maybe 8 to 12 inches. But we don't really know exactly which scenario is going to play out as of now. Both are possible. Right now, I am leaning towards around 3 to 6 inches in the St. Louis area north, those higher totals because of that wintry mix as you head to midday, really ticking down those snowfall totals. And then Indianapolis, as you can see in the morning, cloudy skies there. Midday is when you get that snow moving in, and then back-end snow as you head into Sunday night into early Monday morning, and that could be an area where we do get some pretty heavy snowfall. Washington, D.C., sunny. Mostly sunny Sunday morning, then cloud cover increasing as the storm system approaches Sunday midday, and then Sunday night into early Monday morning is when that wintry mix or snowfall moves into the Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and even maybe those southern Philly suburbs as well. And then lastly for this forecast video, as I mentioned at the start of the video, it's not just going to be the winter storm we have to watch out for. It's going to be what's coming after it. That's really something we have to watch out for millions of more people, and that's going to be the extreme cold for many in the Midwest all the way down into the southeast along the eastern seaboard from the 6 to 10 day outlook. So looking towards next week, it's going to be frigid in parts of the Midwest and really the eastern half of the United States. Very below average temperatures. It's time to get those big winter coats out. It's going to be very cold, even down into the Florida panhandle. So be prepared for that. All right, that about wraps up this more weather forecast video. Make sure you're prepared for that winter storm from the Central Plains all the way through the mid-Atlantic, and of course that extreme cold coming behind it for the eastern half of the country. I will have more updates on X reporting from St. Louis, so stay tuned to that. As always, stay prepared out there, especially with the days ahead of us, and I will see you soon with more weather.